TDM Online, the group. And obviously, this is your group, so it's, you know, it's good for you to come on in, message me the day before for things that you would like me to go over. So thank you to Marion for messaging in and asking me if she could have some help on what goes wrong or can go wrong when we've all been gardening. So I know we will all have been out in this wonderful weather, I'm sure, me included, okay? So yes, there is a lot of things that go wrong when you're gardening. Now, what I'm going to do is do some exercises with you and move out of those and have a look at what can go wrong with these exercises, okay? So the first one we're going to have a look at is, we're going to have a look at some press-ups. I hear you, okay? So we're going to look at our press-ups. Now, I want you to be really careful when you do your press-up. We're going to do a wide one. And I want you to be really careful that you get the arm position correct on this. It's very, very important, okay? Most people, when they do the press-up, they do it incorrectly. They have their arms too narrow, like this. And then what happens is when they go down, they go out like this, and you can see the pressure that's being put on these wrists, yeah? Which is not good. It's also not functional. So I want your arms really wide, like this, yep, so that when you go down, do you see how my forearm is not going any further out than my wrist? It's not bending out the way, yeah, so that's really important. So obviously what's going to happen is when you do that, you'll notice that your hands will not be on the mat, yeah, there isn't a mat wide enough to accommodate this generally, okay? So we're going to set up in our press up position, okay? So I'm going to give you this other view. So get your arms as wide as. Now, importantly, I want you to check out, guys, you don't have to be way out here, yeah? You don't have to do that. The feet don't have to be off the ground. You certainly don't have to be up here, okay? I want you to get the level that's right for you. So what I'd like you to do is, why don't you start with your knees away up here? Yeah? Do your press up and just give yourself a gauge of how hard that is, okay? So obviously I don't know that, but yeah, if you're gauging it between 1 and 5, 5 being really hard, then if they're up at 5, it's too hard for you. You want to be starting at about a 2, yeah? Yeah, if it's not hard enough, you're going to take your legs further back and you're going to go down and do your press up. Now, also when you're doing that, okay, I just want you to do what you can, but what I don't want you to do is do loads of them. I want you to think about how many can you actually do. Maybe if you can do 3 or 4, it's perfect. But you know what? If you can do 1, that's fabulous as well, okay? So, have a go at that. Think about where you're going to go, and I'd like you to come up with a number for you. Whatever number you come up with, I want you to do that, and then I want you to just relax out of that, take a breather, go back in, do it again, take a breather, go back in. So I want you to think about doing about 3 sets, right? You might just do 2 to 3 repetitions, you might do 10, you might do 15, you might do 20, you're all very different. But what you must do at the end of each set is you mustn't be struggling to complete the number that you chose. Yeah, that's really, really important, okay? So let's go down, think about your position, get your arms wide enough so that when you bend forward, that this forearm does not go out the way. Yeah, the forearm stays directly above the wrist. Really, really important, okay? So that's where you should end up. Yeah, do you see that? It's not, you shouldn't be in here. It should be exactly there. Zoom, zoom, nice right angle, and down you go. So let's do a few of those and see how you get on with that, okay? Obviously, if you're really struggling, you can put your hands against the wall, guys, so that you would be like this, yeah? Obviously, there's no wall there, but I'm just demoing it. Yeah, and you would just bend forward towards the wall and push up, okay? Bend forward towards the wall and push up, okay? So just do what you can on that, and I'll let you go through that. As you're doing that, I want you to think about the position of your body. So I want you to think about when you're doing it, yeah, that your head's not dropping down here, also your head's not up here, yeah. I want you to think about the position of your pelvis. We don't want your back ridiculously dipping, but I also don't want you up like this. I want you to think about your shoulders being down and back, head in alignment, pelvis level, and then you do your exercise. Okay, perfect. So I want you to try and think of your numbers, guys. It's very important that you get the correct number for you, okay? Very important. Right, okay, so arms. Now, what I've been asked about was that could be quite uncomfortable just now. One of the reasons why it is uncomfortable is a lot of you have been gardening. So one of the things that can happen when you're gardening is that you're doing a lot of whether it's sweeping, holding, secateurs. I was sawing. Yeah, I was sawing the garden actually. I decided after all these years, quick tip for you, that it's much quicker to saw the grasses down than pull them out and rip my hands or try and secateur them. So yeah, interesting thing I found out this week. So I was sawing, so I must admit that that hand is particularly tight, yeah? I found that my little fingers are clawing up. Now, that would become apparent when you were doing your press up as well, and it might be that you felt it more in your wrists or more in your shoulders, yeah? And this is because if your hands can't go out flat like that, then what happens is you don't have as much surface area to take the weight, yeah? So if you don't have that surface area there because your fingers are in claws, then your weight can't be dispersed down through your fingers, so therefore it's going to challenge some of the other areas, whether that was possibly usually your wrists and your shoulders, okay? So let's have a little stretch out through the fingers. Now, there is a lot of other stretches we can do, and if you feel you want to go over some more levels, Wednesday night tomorrow is a place to ask for that, okay? So we're just going to do this really simple one. We're going to take the fingers, the tips of the fingers together, and I've taken the thumbs together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch my pinkies out towards you, and the other three in the middle, I'm going to lift them up as if they're rockets going up to the ceiling. Now my thumb, what I've done with my thumb is they're stretching out. Do you see how they're stretching out towards me? So what I haven't done is went like that. I'm letting the thumbs towards me, the fingers are going towards you, and these other three fingers in the middle are stretching up the way. Now, basic principles of stretching is to take one end of a muscle away from another. Doesn't get much simpler than that. And that is exactly what you're doing. I like to hold on my stretches for 20 to 30 seconds, yeah? So just do that. You don't have to be seated. You certainly don't have to sit like me. Don't sit like me if your quadriceps are tight. And you're just going to hold that for 20 to 30 seconds. So what we could do is, just out of interest, let's go back down and do another little couple of sets of those press ups. So you've all got your numbers. It might be 2, it might be 20, I don't know. I'll give you time to get to it. Let's just do one set. Yeah, let's do one set. So remember your, excuse me, your position. Check that your arms are wide enough so that when you bend, this stays in alignment, okay? So down we go. Position your legs where is comfortable for your level. And then we're going to do our repetitions. I'm going to do 5. Okay, excellent. Now generally on the breathing on any exercise, you breathe in to prepare and then you breathe out. I prefer to breathe in and then out on the effort. It's much harder generally to push back up. So finish off however many repetitions you want to do there, guys. If it was just 2, maybe do another set. another 2 sets. Just do to your own level. And remember, you have the option of against the wall, where you literally are bending in towards the wall, yeah? Okay, so I'll just run through that one for you again. We're here and we bend in. Okay. Now, another area that gets particularly uncomfortable when you're gardening is this back. Okay, so what we're going to look at is an exercise where the back does throw up some issues, and it's this one. Okay, but for you guys who are okay with this, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a basic exercise. It's a basic sit up, roll down, whatever discipline you like to think it's from. The point is it's flexion of the spine, yeah? It's flexion of the spine as you go down. Now again, if you have weak pelvic floor, hernia, split osteoporosis, you mustn't do this, okay? You mustn't do it, okay? If you have, that would be as low as you would go. That would be the levels, yeah? Depending on the osteoporosis level of your spine, you might not even do this at all, yeah? If you're okay, guys, I want you to curve down through the spine. You take it as low as you can. Yeah, now, if you stop here just before that touches down and then come back up, you will work these muscles more, okay? So if you guys are okay, you can crack out about 20 of those, okay? Other guys who are not quite sure, I want you just to do some little tiny ones, yeah? In fact, you could just sit like this. It's very important, guys, that if this is uncomfortable, right, 1, because you don't have the strength, 2, because it doesn't curve, and 3, in respect to the gardening, yeah, you'll basically have been in this bent over position from standing for hours. And what you've done is you've overstretched this. So I don't really want you to stretch it anymore, to be honest, yeah? You've overstretched those muscles, so I don't really want them to stretch anymore just now, okay? So if that is your issue, I don't really want you to do that one, yeah? You would ditch it out of your exercise regime for the moment, okay? Everybody else who is okay, let's do a few more, yeah? Now, if you were to go a little bit lower, guys, all the way down to here, what then happens is the muscles that are worked are neck. My abdominals are not working there. When I start to come up, they are starting to work now, but it's still very much neck. As I come up, the neck muscles don't have to work as hard. It's my abdominals, now it's my hip flexors, yeah? So it's hip flexors stretch, abdominals contract but stretch, and as you go lower and lower and lower, it becomes more challenging on these neck muscles, yeah? One of the main reasons why a lot of people get really sore necks when they do sit-ups, yeah? The poor neck is not used to holding itself up here. That's quite challenging. That's why we end up getting hands holding onto necks and pulling of heads and necks. Not good, really not good, okay? So lots of different ways that we can do sit-ups, and lots of ways that we can then we could strengthen the neck as well in an isolated exercise, yeah? So it really depends where you're at. Absolutely nothing wrong with doing just that. Nothing at all. And then just coming up to seated. Perfect. Just let me go down. Just small little levels depending on your own ability. Okay. So if you've been in the garden, back to the garden, and you're finding that you're a little bit sore. Now, it really depends what you've been doing. But let's say you've been digging like mad. Yeah, you've been digging in the garden, lots of lifting, yeah? Then what's going to happen is you're going to have really tightened up these muscles here, these chest muscles. So what we can do is just have a little look at a stretch for them, yeah? Lots of different stretches you can do for the chest. That stretches out the chest slightly, but it's not, in my opinion, that effective. Obviously, depending on your own flexibility and and the particular tightness that you have in here, you do have to be careful, yeah? So one that I like to do is I like to put my hand flat on the wall. Do you see that? So the hand's flat on the wall, but you would start with your body in alignment with your hand. I'm just doing that so as you can see the position of the hand, okay? And from there, what I would like you to do is you decide which one works for you. Now, another thing, we've just talked about hands being tight. That might not be possible at the moment to put your hand on the wall, so why don't you just put your fist there, yeah? You'll still get the stretch in the chest. Okay, two options. You either rotate your body away from the wall to get the stretch across this area, or what you can do is you can step forward. So you're just using the weight of the body this way, whereas you're pulling the body away, yeah, different ways to stretch the muscle. For me, it's the rotation one that works for me the best, yeah, and be careful when you do it that you don't just rotate your head and then you think, oh, I'm not getting a stretch, and you just keep taking your head round, then you're going to hurt your neck, yeah. So it's actually the body that moves, the torso, and the head stays in alignment, yeah? And then obviously you would do the other side, yeah? So think about where you're putting your hand on the wall, because that depends on how tight your wrists are and fingers, etc. Okay? All right, so that one would sort out that little area around here, okay? If you've been doing lots of lifting, yeah? Depends again what you've been doing. Now this back, think about this back for a moment. Okay, you've spent all day, and I know one particular client did spend all day like this. Now, we've got another issue with what's happening with your knees, guys, but we won't go into that one just now because I have discussed that with the lady in question, so she knows what to do. But what's happened is you've literally stretched these muscles like that. And I'll put my hand up. I was guilty of this the other day as well. So you stretch this and you've been digging and digging. Now these muscles have just completely stretched. Now if you stretch something too much, it can be as bad as working it too much, yeah? And literally that's what happened to my back the other day, yeah? So what happened is I've completely stretched it, yeah? And then what happened is I suddenly said, right, well, I want you to come up like this. And it was like, oh, well, I've been overstretched. I can't quite hold myself up, yeah? So for me, that is why my back got sore, yeah? So I chose not to do anything that involved me doing that for yesterday, and touch wood, my back is okay today, okay? Also, what we could do is we could do some muscle activation, okay? Now, if we wanted to do a wee bit of muscle activation with a resistance, you really need somebody to give you resistance. So I would start here, or I could be seated, and I would have somebody just gently, two hands on my back, yeah, pushing like that, and then I would push up, and they would match my strength. So it's not a competition, we're just getting them to apply some resistance, and that way it would make these muscles contract that are responsible for holding me up, yeah? Now what I did the other day was I actually just put my hands there, and then I went to push up and I resisted. It's only going to work if you can do that with your arms, and I appreciate not everybody can do that. So a helper would be good. If you're on your own, what I would suggest is possibly just do seated. Yep, so you'll be sat down and just hinge forward and then just come up to about there and hold it. And that way the muscles here responsible for holding you up are having to work just to hold you static, yeah? Yep, and again, if you had a weight, excuse me while I get a weight, not a big weight like this, guys, tin of beans or something, yeah? I would take the weight, I would just bend down slightly and I would just come up to here. Yeah, and that way the muscle is having to work. You can feel it. You can feel the muscles working, yeah? but you could do that seated. Yeah, so think about it, what you've done in the garden. And if you've been guilty of bending over and doing this, then I personally would think about, yeah, I've overstretched the muscles. So when I've overstretched them, I'm then asking them to come up, and they're just being overstretched, okay? So be careful about that, okay? Excellent, right. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go down onto the mat and we're going to have a little look at shoulder bridge, okay? So I'll talk to you about shoulder bridge as we go through, and then if there's anything that you want to pick up on from there, excuse me while I get some water, then you can do, okay? So feel free to get your hand weights, etc. if you want for this. Always have them handy, and I might add something in for your hand weights to make it harder or easier. So what we're going to do is go down onto our mat. Oh look. Okay, we're going to do shortened hamstring shoulder bridge, and then we're going to do a leg long shoulder bridge. Okay, right. So in this position, yeah, we are going to think about flattening the back. Now, don't force this. Some of you, I'm going to put my hands here so you can see. You will have your hands here, please. Yeah, but some of your backs are stuck in hyperextension, so it's very difficult for you to flatten the back. So I don't want anybody forcing it, yeah? Just gently think about doing that, rolling it up. Nothing under your head, please, for shoulder bridge. Yeah, you don't really want anything under your head. You take yourself up to the top, your arms are by your side. Take a breath in at the top, and as you breathe out, you're thinking about curving the spine down. Now, what this is doing, yes, it moves the spine, yeah, but again, depending on the shape of your bottom like me, you can see it is impossible. It is physically impossible for me to curve that because of my bottom. So don't force it or you could hurt yourself. When you come back down, depending on what's going on in your body, you will either just stay into neutral. Some of you can gently arch the back, but if you have too much arch in your back already, you wouldn't do that. You would just come back to neutral, please, okay? So we take a breath in, we breathe out, we gently flatten the back, we peel the spine up off the mat. When we take ourselves up, we're not going to come any further than here, so I don't want you to go into the yoga pose. Yeah. Take a breath in at the top, breathe out, and just gently come down. Now, as you're doing that, just repeat it. Yeah, I want you to think about what's happening in your body. So, the main muscles that are holding you up are your legs. Yeah? Yeah, your head's holding you up and your shoulders, hence the name shoulder bridge. But the muscles that are having to work to hold your body up off the ground are indeed your legs, yeah? So, your lower leg is working, your feet are working, your ankles. What's really more aware for some of you are going to feel is the back of your thighs, yeah? The back of your thighs are, your legs are suspended in midair, yeah? So you're going to feel them. Your bottom is suspended, but it's not as high up as the back of your legs, and your lower back is suspended, but it's also not as high up as the back of the legs. So most people feel it in the back of their legs, yeah? So you're just gently going up and down, and you can think about moving the spine in and out of neutral, which is what you're doing, if you're okay, but I do want you to be aware of your own issues that you have, and be careful about what you're doing with that back when you come down. So you know if you've got too much curve in the lumbar spine, the lower back, I don't want you arching your back. I just like you to stay into static neutral. Perfect. Right, this time we're going to take ourselves up, and then what I'd like you to do is, if you are strong enough to, you are going to take your arms off the ground. Now, all that's happening when you take your arms off the ground, guys, is it makes it harder for your legs, okay? So if you take your arms off the ground and you suddenly think, I can't do that, I'm not strong enough, please put your arms back down. If you're okay, the arms come up and we're going to take the arms up. Now, what happens when the arms go up is quite simply, it changes how hard your legs have to work, but it's more about the stretch in the arms, yeah? Okay? And then we can circle around and down. So now what we've got is shoulder mobilization. So we're taking a breath in, we breathe out, the arms go up, and then we breathe in as we come around and down. Now, for the guys who can't do that up there, I want you to bring yourself down. And I want you just to do the arm movement, right? You can go to here, you can circle around and down. Be really careful, guys. This is not going to help you if you've got a frozen shoulder, yeah? There are lots of other much more specific exercises that we can use for frozen shoulders or neck problems than this. Yeah, this is a generalized range of movement exercise. And then we're going to change the direction. Now remember, some of you are up on your bridge, please, and some of you may even have one leg off as you're doing this. Because some of you are super duper and are managing to do that level. Some of you are newer and you're still super duper, but you're not ready for that level yet, okay? So for some of you, you might be up here, you might have a leg off, and you might also then be doing the arm movement. Well, see, now I've not done that for a little while, yeah? It's quite challenging on this supporting leg, yeah? Okay, let's do just one or two more, either with the bottom off the ground into your shoulder bridge, or deciding that you're just going to do the range of movement in the arms just to mobilize round there. Fantastic. And then relax. Okay, if it's comfortable for you, you're just going to bring the knees into the chest and then the other one, and you should be able to feel the lower back going into the mat. If it's comfortable, just a little roll from side to side. Quite simply, that is just going to give you a little massage, nothing specific, but a little massage up around the top of the pelvis, which indeed it does get quite tight quite a lot of the time. Wonderful. Okay, then we're going to pop the legs back down. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to do our shoulder bridge with the legs long, guys, okay? And the reason for this is it works these hamstrings here in a different way. We work them in a lengthened fashion rather than a shortened fashion, okay? So, legs long. If you're not used to the legs long, I'm talking away out here, don't take them away out there. Just, you have to start to build it up. So you might take them maybe a couple of inches away and then you would lift up. Now, when your legs go long, the ability of you to curve your spine will disappear. So don't worry about that. There's nothing wrong with you. And then just gently down again. Yeah, you can see when the legs are long, what it does is it makes your pelvis tip forward. So it becomes it's anatomically impossible to start to curve the spine. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. So don't worry about it. As I say, it's nothing wrong with you. It's the position we've put the legs in. What it does do though, as we hold ourselves up, it means that our hamstrings are now contracting in a lengthened way. Okay, it's called an eccentric contraction for those that are interested. So they're still contracting, they're still working, but they're lengthened instead of where we were here and shortened. Personally, I prefer to work with the hamstrings lengthened, but there are specific populations, groups of people that I want to work and I have to work their hamstrings in a shortened position. And again, if you want, you can add in the leg off. I'm not going to take the arms off, but do feel free if you want to. I'll take the arms off here without taking a leg off. Wonderful. So obviously I've not been riding, so I put my hand up. My hamstrings are not as strong as they usually are. Normally that wouldn't bother me one little bit. Yeah, it just wouldn't bother me. I could quite happily take my leg off the ground, but that's not happening today. If you wanted to and you're struggling, again, just put your bottom down, guys. Do a couple of breaths in and out with the legs long and off. Come back down, take a breath in, add the arms in separately, yeah? You're getting all the same benefits. We're just changing the levels of intensity to suit you. You don't have to do the same as everybody else. Some of you might be circling your arms in a smaller fashion. Some of you might be going all the way over your head. You're all very, very, very different. Wonderful. Okay, so whatever one you're doing, we're just going to do 2 more of those. And then we're just going to relax and bring the knees into the chest, nice and gently. And relax there for a moment. Have a little roll from side to side if you feel you want to. If you don't do it, okay? I'm just having a drink of water. Great. Okay. So what I want you to do is have a look at those exercises that we went through. Think about, do you fall into that category for maybe a little bit of a sore back whilst you've been doing that outside in the garden? Not necessarily the garden, it's the position, guys, yeah? It's this sort of position for prolonged periods of time is going to stretch this area, yeah? So if that's the case, think about activating, getting somebody to help you activate those muscles. That works great. Or get your tin of beans or your weight and just a little hold. You're talking a small hold, yeah? But basically, you want to avoid, you've overstretched it, yeah? You've definitely overstretched it. So, I hope that answered Marion's question. Tomorrow night, I want you to ask anything. I put a bit of a have fun video up there for you about, it was a bit of fitness, yeah? Any questions about that, give me a shout. What I would like you to think about is anything here that hasn't, so we looked at some press-ups technique, we looked at working the rectus abdominis and other muscles, neck and hip flexors, and we've also looked at the shoulder bridge, yeah? Within that, I've tried to encompass some of the problems that might have occurred